Happy October. It is Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024, and I'm starting this vlog, which is gonna be all about going to the Jamboree in Vegas. I gotta be at the airport probably at the latest around 4 a.m. You know, I mean, the plane takes off at 5:40, so I know they technically tell you to be there 2 hours before, which would be 3:40 in the morning. I'm still gonna shoot for waking up at 3 and then try to get to the airport by 4. This is the second year in a row I'm going to be working at the Patreon table, helping out Maggie Savage, and I'm really looking forward to that, handing out the Blu-rays and missing merch that people are looking for, and basically just kind of pitching the Patreon to people and trying to get new members. I had suggested the idea of to have the little, what do you call them, like business cards, for them to have like a little QR code so people can scan them, and then that'll take them right to the Patreon website if they want to sign up. Morning, it is October 3rd, 2024. Technically I've been awake since 2 a.m. Just laying in bed thinking about what I need to bring with me. It's 3:36 a.m. I'm leaving here with wet hair. I just washed it. I don't want to have to bring my shampoo and conditioner with me, so one less thing to have to worry about. I'm about to request a lift and head to the airport. It's 9:05 a.m. in Vegas. I just made it to the room. Let's see if we can find a light to turn on. Let's see, here's a light. I don't know where it is. I don't know how to turn that one on. Okay. Anyway, here's the room. Looks nice. Here's the TV. I did bring my iPad, so I can always watch that. Let's see. There's the light. Okay. Nice desk area. And really nice looking room. Let's see, let me turn this light on too, if I can get it. There we go. I don't know if this room has a microwave or a fridge. Yeah, I guess that doesn't open. Got lots of drawer space. Desk. Let's see. I guess that's just a mirror. And then this must be, let me move my bag out of the way. Must be the restroom. Shoot. Okay, here we go. All right, here's, okay, there we go. Yeah, nice looking restroom too. So I got to the airport around 4 a.m., got through checkout pretty fast, like within 15 minutes I was at my gate. So I got on the plane at about 5:10 this morning. The plane took off at 5:40. It ended up being, I think, a 3.5 hour flight, which is super long. I'm glad it was a direct flight, but you know, just having to sit for 3.5 hours was tough. I did get up at one point and stood by my seat and stretched my legs for a few seconds. And then I got to the airport, and someone had mentioned the possibility of getting me a ride from the airport to the hotel, so I'd sent them my travel itinerary a few days ago. They ended up not having anybody available. Even though I said, you know, no rush. I don't mind waiting. Like, you know, it didn't matter to me if I needed to like get my 10,000 steps in for the day. but yeah, so they didn't have anybody available to come pick me up. So I ended up catching a taxi, and she tried to encourage me to catch an Uber because it's cheaper. But I said it's easier for me as a blind person to find assistance getting a taxi, because I could just walk out that door number 1 at the airport and it says taxi, and they have somebody out there hailing them down for you. So yeah, it ended up being an expensive taxi ride. It was about $80. The lady was helpful though, so I gave her a tip, about a $10 tip, which is not what I usually give, not what I usually give cab drivers. Usually I might give them like, I don't know, $5 at the most. But she was helpful. And she was telling me all about, there's some sort of like car race or something that's gonna happen maybe next month. That's like a huge draw for the tourism industry in Vegas. I'm glad I got here at, what time did I say I got here? Maybe around 9-ish. I'm kind of losing track of time right now just because I'm tired, but she ended up dropping me off at the casino because, you know, the hotels around here, it's just like the whole parking and valet situation, the whole thing is just a big maze. So she dropped me off at the casino instead of the valet, but thankfully it wasn't too busy, and, I had my monocular with me. I didn't bring the good monocular because I can't find that one, so I brought the cheap monocular, which it doesn't work as well, it's not as powerful. But I was still able to read the signs, and I navigated my way through the casino to the hotel, and so far it's been good. It's not crazy busy like Circus was. Yeah, I haven't gone to venture out to find food yet. Kind of just chilling in the room for a bit. So yeah, I'm probably just gonna rest for a bit and maybe catch up on my sleep. It's 11:08 a.m. and I'm feeling kind of restless. I've been sitting here mostly watching TikToks, but I've tried to lay down a couple of times and rest, and I don't know, I feel like going exploring a little bit to try to find the food court. I'm gonna go downstairs, and if I don't see any signage that tells where the food court is, I'm gonna try to find my way back to the front desk and see if maybe somebody can walk me over there and tell me what the options are. It's 11:33 a.m. I just got back from the food court, and I had gone to the front desk first because I didn't know which way the food court was. And one of the front desk employees offered to walk me over there, so I said sure. And as we were walking, he's like, oh, you see the Starbucks is right over here, and then you hang a right and you'll walk through the rest of the food court. I said, okay, well, I can see the light from the Starbucks logo, but that's about it. And he laughed, because obviously he doesn't realize how insensitive that is to do to a visually impaired person. So he walked me over to where the Starbucks was, and then, and then he walked off. So, I don't know. He was sort of helpful, but sort of not. Anyhow, I walked around the food court a little bit, and some of the food court places, some of the restaurants had their light on, some of them didn't. I walked up to the ones that did have the light on, and finally the last one, Panda Express, one of the ladies there acknowledged me. And so she was very helpful. So let me show you what I got. I haven't been to Panda Express in ages, but I got some favorites. I got the honey walnut shrimp and the orange chicken, and I got some rice. And then I also got some veggie spring rolls and a nice sized bottle of water. I'm trying to figure out what plans are going to be for tonight. I know there's going to be a party at the Golden Tiki, kind of a kickoff party. Darcy is supposed to receive a shrunken head, I think. Joe Bob got one last year, so Darcy's getting one this year. And so I've been kind of talking back and forth with one of the volunteers. So I'm trying to figure out if it's possible that people are going to be carpooling from this hotel so I can get a ride from somebody. So it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Maggie had mentioned to me one of the volunteers she knows who is going to reserve a table at the Golden Tiki tonight. So I reached out to him, and I think he put me down on his list. He said it's going to be a tight fit. So I hope I'm not imposing or putting anybody out. And I asked him if there would be carpooling from Santa Fe Station by any chance, and he said he didn't know anything about that. I did suggest a group chat. I think it was either yesterday or the day before, and I was told it was a good idea, but as far as I know, there is no group chat to kind of keep, I was hoping it would kind of help keep people like in communication and help people figure out like maybe last minute volunteer tasks and help people carpool and just generally stay connected. It's 7:10 p.m. and I just took a little nap and then woke up and crunched the numbers, and it would cost around $26 each way to get to and from the Golden Tiki. So I decided it's not worth it. Good morning. It's 4 a.m. Las Vegas time. I'm gonna take a shower and then go find some breakfast, hopefully. It's 5:20 a.m. My search for breakfast was not successful. I know there's a place around here that's open 24 hours a day. I'm guessing it must be a buffet. But, I mean, with the way inflation is these days, I barely even want to be paying for fast food. So, I went downstairs. I did find Starbucks, and it looked like all of the food court is currently closed. So I'm just gonna have to wait, and I don't know. I guess I'll go check around at 6 o'clock and see if they're gonna be open. I wish I was capable of working these slot machines by myself. There's so many empty slot machines, and I wish I could see them to be able to know where to put the card in or the money in and be able to see the games and be able to see where to take the money out at. 7:01 a.m. I just got back from downstairs from Starbucks. I got myself an apple crisp shaken espresso. I keep wanting to call it a macchiato for some reason, but anyway. Apple crisp shaken espresso and a turkey bacon sandwich, which was the same meal that I got when I landed yesterday at the airport. So, got those two things. I really am not sure that the downstairs button for the elevator works. It doesn't light up and the elevators never change position, so I always have to stand there waiting until other people are coming down from the upper floors. So it's 11:15 a.m. I actually surprisingly just got a call from Kathy. She's got a volunteer who's able to give me a ride over there, which is awesome. And so she's gonna come pick me up. I'm not sure exactly what door. I forgot to ask what door I need to be at. Like, she was telling me the model of the car. And I said, well, I can't see that well to tell the make and model of the car. I can see the shape of and the color of the car. And she's like, oh, she'll have a volunteer shirt on. And I'm like, okay, but I still can't see that well. Like, it would be a lot easier if I just, you know, send you a picture of what I look like so she can find me. So I sent her a picture. That way she can give it to the girl to let her know what I look like. And yeah, so headed to the drive-in a few minutes, just getting my bag packed. It's 10:53 at night. I don't want to speak too loudly in case the people in the rooms around me are asleep, so I will update you in the morning on how today went. Good morning, it's Saturday, October 5th. It's 6:39 in the morning, Las Vegas time. I'm going to head to Starbucks and get some breakfast. It's 7 a.m. I just got back to the room and I discovered something this morning. Yesterday I thought that the first floor elevator button wasn't working, and so I would have to wait for people to come downstairs in order for me to get upstairs. And today, this morning, I discovered there's a sign on the wall that basically says you have to insert your key card and then you can press the button. So it took me a little while to find, it took me a few seconds to find where to insert the key card. But anyway, I found it, I got up here, I got the turkey bacon sandwich, and I'm trying something new today. I got this oat milk, what is this thing? It's a pecan oat milk latte or something. You can tell I'm not awake. I can't even remember the names of the drinks. But yeah, I'm just gonna sit here and eat my breakfast and start to wake up and feel more like myself and watch some TikToks, and then I'll feel like talking about what happened yesterday. So a volunteer picked up myself and another volunteer around, I guess, 11:30 or 12, and we immediately went to the airport to pick up Maggie. Then I was dropped off, myself and that volunteer who had helped find Maggie at the airport. We were both dropped off at the drive-in, and as soon as I got there, I was able to help with putting stickers on the t-shirts, size stickers. I tried to fold some of the shirts and I wasn't that successful at it. You know, I've never worked retail or anything like that, so you know, other people folded the shirts and I just put the stickers on the appropriate sizes, and then we kind of grouped them all together in a box, and some of them were put on tables and some of the shirts were hung up so that people could walk by and see the designs of all of them. And then we also put a tablecloth on the table where I think Butch Patrick was going to be doing a signing. later on. And Maggie had been brought back to the hotel to check in, and then, you know, the driver had waited for her to bring her back to the drive-in. So, and they stopped at Del Taco, which I've never tried Del Taco before. I didn't even know that was a thing. And so they got to the drive-in with the Del Taco, and Maggie actually gave me her fries, so that was really sweet. They were good. They were crinkle cut fries, so at least I can say I've tried the fries from Del Taco. And after we were sitting there for a while at the table, there was a huge windstorm that suddenly picked up, and it actually wrecked the tent. I didn't know, I've never been in anything like that, so I didn't know what to do. So my first inclination was to grab my stuff and try to run to get out of the tent. And the tent started falling down all around us. And thankfully it didn't hit me in the head or anything like that. So once the windstorm was gone, everybody was kind of standing around looking at the damage. It had completely wrecked the original display, and it had blown a bunch of the shirts away, so people had to walk around and try to find the shirts and bring them back. There was dust everywhere, so basically everything had to be set up yet again. And around, I'm trying to think what time, maybe like 3 o'clock-ish, 3:30, Joe Bob arrived for signing. And so he was the one sitting there signing for people and taking selfies and that kind of stuff. For maybe about a half an hour to an hour. It was for Patreon patron saints. Darcy arrived a bit later, and so it was cool to see the two of them, you know, interacting with their fans and showing how much they appreciate their fans and hearing about how much their fans appreciate them. It's a mutual admiration society. And so I let one of the volunteer who was taking the photos for people, I let him know that I'd be interested in helping him out if he needed to take a break. And of course, since he's sighted and I'm blind, he was concerned. He's like, oh, well, can you do that? You know, like basically asking me, can you take photos for people? Like, I guess he was kind of worried about the outcome. And of course, he has no idea that there are blind and visually impaired, you know, photographers, filmmakers, visual artists. So I didn't educate him on that because there wasn't time to do that. But, you know, I basically told him, I said, you know, I've taken photos for people before. So he did eventually take a break, and I got to take a few of the photos. And as they were wrapping up the signing, they were getting ready to go do photo ops, I think near the concession stand. And then I went over to the concession stand just to kind of see what was going on, get a bit of a change of scenery. And by that time, the barbecue had opened up. And I didn't pay for the barbecue, but, you know, I had it last year. It was good. I just wasn't really in the mood for it this year. But it's nice that it was an option to people if they wanted it. So I went to the concession stand and got some popcorn, and then I came back to the volunteer tent, grabbed a water, and I think I sat by the medical tent and ate my popcorn. And that's honestly, the medical tent is pretty much where I just hung out, talking to Colin and to one of the other volunteers, who was really great about, you know, helping make sure that I'm included in helping out with stuff. The show started at around 7:40, and John Carpenter got there at 8. He was coming directly from the airport. He was staying for the first movie, which I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I know it was with Donald Pleasance. And so John Carpenter stayed for the first movie, and he was there for like 3 different segments in between to do interview with Joe Bob. And Colin took some photos for me, so I'm gonna go ahead and insert those here. It wasn't until the tail end of the evening for us, for myself and Maggie, that I texted her to see where she was. And she was mostly hanging out at the concession stand with one of the other Discord moderators. So I went over there and met up with her, and of course, you know, she told me it was to the right of the concession stand. And so the main tent that I saw the light coming out from ended up being the tattoo area, which I had no idea that was even a thing. So I accidentally walked into the tattoo shop area. And then Maggie noticed me and she called me over, and so I was able to find the table from there. And we stayed until about 10:30. I talked to the girl who was kind enough to give me a ride to the drive-in yesterday, and it sounds like she'll give me a ride over there today around 12:30. A few things that I learned from being out there yesterday. The weather was, I think, in the 90s yesterday. I looked at it for today, and it's gonna be a high of 101. And as you know, the sun tends to move around a lot, and so there was very limited amount of shade. My original plan was to bring my iPad, and then that way, you know, I'd be streaming the Patreon videos for people who were walking by and wanted to learn more about the Patreon. So between the heat and the lack of shade, I don't think people would really even be able to see the iPad with the videos on it if they were to walk by. And I don't want the iPad to get overheated or stepped on when it's in my bag or anything like that. I'm also gonna leave behind my big fleece coat that I brought with me because I did not need that yesterday. So this is what it looks like on the morning of day 2. It is 2:45 p.m. I believe. The only reason I'm vlogging a little bit right now is because there's like absolutely nobody around me. So anyway, no big crowds yet or anything. We're still just getting set up here. And I think maybe the signings start around like 3:30-ish or 4, and photo ops and stuff like that. It's around 7:40 p.m. It ended up being an early night to come back to the hotel for myself and Maggie and her friend Robin. They were ready to leave the drive-in a little after 7 o'clock because they have plans to go bowling in the hotel at Santa Fe Station here. So I figured I'd take the first opportunity to come back, and I need to be at the airport for 5:30 in the morning. So Robin was nice enough to order Lyft for us, and she paid for it. I didn't have to pay her anything. So I ended up getting to the drive-in at around 1 o'clock, and it ended up being a carpool situation, so that was nice. And got there around 1 o'clock. There wasn't honestly too much to do, except kind of maybe help fill up the ice chests. Things didn't really get going until after 4 p.m. or around 5 p.m. really. I thought originally it was going to start a little after 4. And I stood in line. I thought Joe Bob and Darcy were going to be doing more Patreon photos or whatever today. So I ended up standing in the line for maybe an hour almost. It was super hot outside, so I took a break. I was actually almost willing to quit the line entirely. And then there was a guy in front of me who was like, "Oh, you just stepped out of line for a minute. I'll hold your place for you." So I ended up getting out of line just to go sit for a few minutes, and then I came back, and then a little while later I got out of line again and grabbed a cold bottle of water and pretty much drank the whole thing. And then I got back in line, and I ended up being one of the first 3 people who was supposed to go up there to the meet and greet. When I got up to the tent, I ended up finding out that it was not actually a selfie line with Joe Bob and Darcy. It was an autograph line to meet either Joe Bob or Svengoolie. So I ended up getting out of line. I could have stayed in line and gotten a new selfie with Joe Bob, and I was sort of tempted to, but at the same time, I mean, Svengoolie was only going to be there for an hour, so I didn't want to hold his people up who wanted to meet him. And luckily, 2 of the volunteers ended up being busy eventually with some other stuff. So I was able to take over for them and continue taking the fan photos of fans with Joe Bob. So that was really fun to be a part of and help out with. The show ended up starting at around 7, and Maggie asked Kathy if we were needed anymore. It seemed like, you know, and this was something that I hadn't even considered. Maggie thinks that the Patreon table does better being by the other vendors because people are walking by looking to purchase things. Whereas when we were in the merch tent, people were just walking up, sort of see Kathy about, you know, shirts and hats and merchandise, or they were there to get autographs and photos, and they really weren't there to talk to us at the Patreon table. I personally didn't mind being in the merch tent because I loved helping take the photos for people. I hope that's something that I can help out with in the future. And, but yeah, so she told us that, you know, we could stay or we could leave. It was kind of just our call. So Kathy told us that, you know, just put the Blu-rays away and, leave the candy there that was out, and, you know, people could just take it if they wanted. And yeah, so we wrapped up around 7, and Maggie went to the concessions area and hung out with Robin for a little while. And I eventually joined them, and I went to the concession stand and I got a burger and fries and water. And I brought the bottled water back with me. I know, I could have just grabbed a free bottle of water from the volunteer tent, but I didn't think of it at the time. So it ended up being a very early night. It's 4 a.m. on Sunday, September 6th, and I pretty much just have to get packed and head to the airport. It's 5:39 in the morning, and I got to the airport at around 5:15, went through security without any issues. Probably the hardest thing about it is trying to locate the bin with my iPad in it at TSA. But anyway, the first thing I saw when I got through the gate was, when I got through security, was coffee bean and tea leaf. So I got myself a plain bagel and a pumpkin iced latte. It's very sweet. I prefer the pumpkin cream cold brew from Starbucks. It's 1:20 p.m. I just got home from the airport. It was a good flight. It took about 3 hours and I got home. So it's been a fun weekend. I wish I could have stayed longer at the drive-in each night, but you know, gotta go back to work on Monday. So and it was great seeing everybody, and I hope it happens again next year. So this is gonna be the end of my very short Jamboree vlog, and I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.